What's up and welcome everybody. It is a Friday, February 21st. This is episode 12 of the Insurance Isn't Boring podcast. I'm your host, Elijah, joined as always by the one and only Xander Wolle. Xander, what kind of coffee you drinking this morning, man?
It's from Costco. I'm using my
Kirkland's finest.
Kirkland's Finest. They sell it in the biggest. They sell these massive bags, so I'll just go buy two at a time. I got this like stainless steel container. I mentioned it before. I'm a bit of a health hippie. Stainless steel, glass, everything.
Walking
And then I
out
got
with
my French
12
press.
pounds of coffee.
Yeah, I get some looks. I walk in there and I walk out with like 15 pounds of steak, some chocolate chip cookies, and a bunch of coffee, some protein shakes.
A 4-month supply of toilet paper. I only go to Costco maybe twice or three times a year to save money. And every time I go, I'm dropping $300 or $400. But I get the dollar slice of pizza at the end to
Dude,
balance
if
it all out.
if if you go to Costco and you're not taking advantage of the $1.50 hot dog and soda and dollar slice of pizza, what are you doing? That's like half the benefit of the membership.
Membership right there.
Yeah.
Getting your ROI. But welcome everybody to the show. Thanks for tuning in. We just crossed 1,000 streams across our platforms, was that just Spotify too, by the way, Xander, or was that all of them?
That's just Spotify. If you
Aw.
pull in like Apple Podcasts and YouTube, we're close to like 1,500. And then
Dude, that's a
we
lot of
actually haven't.
eyeballs watching our stuff.
It's crazy. And the feedback, now we got people coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, I think this person would be a good guest. Like, thank you to everybody listening that all the feedback that you guys have given us. I wasn't sure about putting myself out there like this when we first started doing this, but the support has been overwhelming. And if I don't think we've mentioned this, but we TikTok, X, YouTube, Instagram, we have clips going up everywhere. So wherever you consume content, we got something for you.
Yep. Yep. And the purpose of this too, again, like the podcast was an idea that we had over coffee with the purpose of helping agents learn the ins and outs of what we do, the day to day, the week to week, how to get some traction. There's lots of resources out there, but it can be hard to know. You don't know what you don't know. And so being able to kind of hear it from people who are doing the job, we just hope that we can give you a little bit of knowledge to go out, make a good income, help some families, get some time and balance back in your life, and have some fulfillment in what you do. And so real quick, Xander, so we're at, what is it, week 3 of February? Let's establish some quick street cred, man. What are you at for the month so far, bro? For the month so
Month.
far? I'm at 21 sales for 21,000 in premium. Average app
Dude,
size of $1,000, which is crazy.
I don't have the number of sales. We have been neck and neck all month. I'm at 21,652 and submit this month. So that's just
You're
insane.
one app ahead of me. I love that.
See
Love
if we can't
that.
catch a couple before Friday wraps up here.
Yeah. Hey, give me 30 seconds. My dog's banging on the back door. Let me go let him in. It's like 25 degrees outside. Hold on.
You're
Be
good,
right.
bro.
All right, we're back. We're back. So,
This cold weather's been insane, bro. Like I thought we were out of the woods. I talked to a family in Iowa yesterday, and it was 7 degrees there, and I was
oh
like,
my gosh.
actually, maybe this is a good little like tidbit we can give people. If you're in the South and you're talking to people in the North, I always make fun of myself for not liking the cold. I'm like, I am just a wuss. Like, I don't know how y'all do it. It gets a laugh every single time. And they're like, I don't know how I do it either. So just a pro tip, some free game.
Dude, when it's this cold, I have a hard time leaving my house, bro. I'm like in the home 3 or 4 days in a row. I think I've only been to the gym twice this week. Goal was 4 times, so I got to hit 2 today just to just to keep my quota up. But what do you want to dig into today, man? What do you think the people need here?
Well, so, we were chatting a little before this, and I think that I really liked two of the things that you talked about. One was doing the little things right, because they kind of compounds, and it's so weird how much of a reflection of how together you have the rest of your life that this business will be. Like when you're doing you said it so many times, man, like when you're doing the little things right, it seems like everything is just going well. You're in a good mood, you got your health and wellness in check, you're spending time with your family. And when you have that balance, it's really easy to be in a great mood. Like, dude, I used to get so stressed out in appointments, I'd get off and my neck would hurt because my back was so tensed up. And now, like, I'm cracking jokes. Like, you would not believe the stuff that I say in appointments to people. And one of my buddies, Shane Byrne, he's a real estate agent. So little different vertical, but similar, commission-based role. He's big on social media, and he was talking about how, like, he'll just be super casual, and he'll curse, he'll say just kind of off the cuff things when he first meets someone to get them to be like, this is just another human. This isn't some real estate sales guy. And I think that's easier to do and not be nervous about when you're in a good mood. Like, how could someone take that the wrong way? I'm vibing,
Yep. I think the hard part of what we do is, I mean, I didn't know this coming into it, but so much of your personal life will have an effect on how you do your job because they're so interconnected. I mean, you're working from home, you're working at weird hours, it's commission based, so you probably think about it more than people who are a W-2 job. There's a little bit more, I would say, like emotional volatility around what we do. Yeah. And if you can, how you do anything is how you do everything. I said that earlier, and that I heard that from probably, I mean, it's not my quote. I probably stole it from somebody, but there's a lot of truth into it. Like if you go to the gym and you give it 80%, and then the next day you give it, I don't know, 60 or 70, maybe you show up later, maybe you don't go as hard, maybe you skip a couple days like I did this week. There's no way that it's not going to affect the other aspects of your life because you'll go after them with the same degree of seriousness. You may run a half-assed appointment. You may cut your dial time short. You may not be as present when you're on a training call or asking a client questions, whatever. If you go all in on every aspect of your life, it's gonna positively affect it, and in turn, you'll have more momentum in what you do. And I think that's the biggest thing that newer agents and even agents who've been doing this a while, man, we sometimes forget. We just have to hear the same thing again, maybe from somebody else. But this is a momentum business, and it's easier to maintain momentum once you have it than it is to establish momentum and be going at a certain speed. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah. Now, we want to get into manufacturing momentum. That was kind of the other thing that we wanted to hit on. But I will say, I always talk about, I didn't come with this quote, but like, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And so, there's some times where I'm tired. I don't feel like going to the gym. It happens to everybody. Anyone who says like, yeah, every day I'm just amped up to get to the gym. Like, I love working out. I feel like crap if I don't get it in, but like, I don't feel like doing it every day. Just get there, right? Just start that dial sesh. Just show up to the appointment, and you'll find, like, if you're doing the other things right, it's really hard. Like, I show up, and then usually it's the workouts that I don't want to do that I get into it, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I can do this. And like, I end up, those are some of my best workouts, right? When I don't want to go. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just show up and start. And it gets a whole lot easier once it's just like creating a to-do list, right? Knock off the first thing into the next.
Yeah. I think the best thing you could do for your mental stability in this is establish confidence through discipline. I mean, if you trust yourself to do what you say you're going to do, even when you don't feel like it, right? That's the hard part. You're never going to always feel like it. Nobody ever does. Look at David Goggins. Look at that. Who's going to carry the boats? But if you only do what you need to do when you feel like it, you're not disciplined. You're not elite. You're not going to get the results that you're wanting. And I think showing up is half the battle. You know what I mean? Getting there, Making your first 30 calls is the hard part. And I think so I don't have a team right now, but I talk to a lot of agents across the company, different hierarchies, even people who aren't even in Symmetry will reach out to me sometimes and ask questions. One of the most common themes I see people needing help with or struggling with is they have a bad week, or maybe they even have just a bad day or a bad month, and they start questioning everything they're doing. They start getting self-conscious, feeling defeated, feeling anxious, feeling like they're not doing enough. And that can be a hard feeling to shake because you can get into a pattern, if you will, of not being disciplined. And then you find yourself in a rut that's really difficult to pull yourself out of because it almost feels like you're going up a mountain and everything is on you. You're stressing out. You're not taking care of yourself. You don't have momentum. And the amount of energy and force it takes to get back to maybe where you were or surpass what you were doing, that's a lot to manage. What's your relationship with momentum, Xander? I mean, anytime you go on a trip, you lose some. Maybe you have a couple bad days that stack and it's like, oh man, I got some ground I need to make up.
Yeah.
How do you approach establishing momentum? How do you know when you have momentum?
A lot of great questions there. And this was a lot harder when I first started, right? Because especially coming from the 9 to 5 space, the momentum doesn't matter, right? Like you do what your boss tells you to do. And so I'd be like, I didn't sell anything last week. I don't know if I'm going to get leads this week. Bozo move. Don't do that. And now after going through kind of those ups and downs enough, it's very simple to me. It's like, am I putting in the activity that's required to get the results I'm looking for? And if the answer is no, well then, who do I have to blame for that? And I say blame, I probably shouldn't say blame because you don't want to get into a blame game. Like you should still focus on what you're doing right. Like, okay, you didn't get the results you wanted, but you still showed up and made 200 dials last week, which is not enough, particularly on bonus leads, but that's better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I just know, I expect it now. Like I went to Peru over winter break and coming back into it was the second week of January when I was, back in the office. I was like, if I sell anything this week, I'm going to be happy. It ended up being a good week, which is awesome. That's just, gravy train. But if you expect that, right? Because you know the numbers, you know what's required to do well, it can take a lot of that pressure off yourself. You're like, okay, I know this week might not be as good, but I'm still going to do what I know is required so that next week can be good or tomorrow can be good.
Yeah.
How about yourself, bro?
I love the concept of winning the morning, which is harder, especially when it's cold outside, days are shorter, dark longer, but starting with winning the morning. What do I mean by that? Don't sleep in, don't hit snooze. You're not grabbing your phone first thing in the morning and being inundated by news and notifications. Having a to-do list and a plan for your day is important to me. Looking at your calendar, sticking to a calendar. But focusing on winning the morning. If you win the morning, you're a lot more likely to win the day by following a to-do list and having priorities that you make progress on. You stack a couple days, before you know it, you win the week. And within that, like, I think if you're an achiever, like you're an Enneagram 3 or you're a pioneer on the 5 voices, it can be really easy to judge a week based off the result you got or didn't get, and then you let that determine, okay, this was a good week. I sold 10 grand. That is a great week. But somebody who followed a process and stuck to their schedule and sold 5 grand also had a great week. And so being more emotionally attached to the process is where you want to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to get emotionally attached to the result.
You can't control that.
Because you can't control that. And so when it comes to building momentum, especially in sales, you take a couple days off, it's going to take double the amount of time you were off to get that momentum back where you feel like you're in a flow state, you're closing deals daily or weekly, and you're not stressed about money, you're not thinking about that, you're just focused on the needs of the client. You're not selling with commission breath. And how you get that is by stacking wins and focusing on what you can control. We can't control what the weather does. We can't control what happens. We can't control other people. We can't control yesterday, but you can control what time you get out of bed. You can control what you eat. You can control what you ate. Did you go to the gym today? Did you get some sunlight? Did you go on a walk? Did you drink enough water? How many outbound calls did you make? How many leads did you buy? And those are all things that are within your control, but they require discipline to execute on those, even when you wake up and you feel depressed, or even when you wake up and you're tired. You slept 8 hours, you woke up tired. We've all had days like that.
Happens. Yeah.
You can't control what a client's going to do. You can't control objections that you're going to get, but you can focus on improving and getting around people who are a positive influence, and you can control what you read and what you take in. And I think focusing on that is where you want your attention and your energy to go, because what you focus on grows. That's what John Maxwell says. And I believe everything that guy says.
He's pretty smart.
He is. And Andy Frisella talks a lot about this too. He's got a program called 75 Hard. I haven't completed that yet, but there's a few people in our company who have, and there's some people who are in the middle of doing it right now. But the whole point of the 75 Hard program is to establish discipline and confidence in yourself so that no matter what's going on, you have control over your ability to execute on the process.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to execute on the process when you're not worried about paying your phone bill, and when you're not worried about paying leads, or you're not looking at your bank account thinking the number should be higher. You're not just checking your email 15 times a day to see if a carrier emailed you that a policy was approved that you didn't go right. We've all gotten to the place where we get upset about the result we didn't get.
Yeah.
But we forget we didn't do the work required to get that. And so I think discipline, momentum, it's not something you catch.
No.
It's something that you manufacture and then you maintain.
Yeah. And that's exactly where I was taking it. Like I love how Mark puts it, right? It is far easier to ride a bike down a hill and coast up again while pedaling than it is to get up halfway going up that hill, stop, and then start again. So once you get that momentum, it's so easy to maintain it, right? You don't have to make as many phone calls because you've already got a bunch of appointments on the books. And so, hey, if that one lead is like in a bad mood, bad hair day, whatever, and they're grumpy, it doesn't affect you as much because you got more appointments on the books. And I don't know about you, man, but the biggest thing for me is just you don't quit. Like, don't quit, and you'll have the evidence that you know how to get through those situations. And then you get to a point where it's like, dude, if I have a bunch of no-shows one day, I'm like, heck yeah, I have some leads that I've been needing to get to, you know?
Or I get to eat lunch today.
It's awesome. And that, that goes into doing the little things right. Like it's all so intertwined. It almost doesn't make sense until you see that it does make sense. And then you just keep doing it.
Yeah. And I think for newer agents who are like, okay, well, what do I tangibly do? What do I need to do, Elijah and Xander, to get momentum? Because I just started, or I started from a lack of momentum. I failed my licensing course the first time I took it. I was one of 10 people hired by Grant, and I was the only one to fail my exam the first time I took it. Now, I'm the only one still here of those original 10 because I got really good at the 4 keys. 4 keys to a successful week. It's something that I still reference, even having been doing this for 6 years. I've gone through a lot of valleys and peaks of sales. I've had bad weeks. I've had clients cancel. I've had carriers cancel my clients' products. I've had leads not show up. I've had agents quit, whatever. It all happens. We can't control that. But I'll tell you a couple things you can control. You can control your resources. How many leads are you getting? How many people are you talking to? What's your schedule look like? How are you sticking to your schedule? I mean, we all have a calendar, but doing what's on that calendar when nobody's making you do it, I think that's where discipline really shines. What's
Yeah.
your activity look like? And are you following the system? Are you getting help? Are you asking questions? Are you plugging in? Are you making are you reaching out to people who could help you make the change needed to get the result that you want? Um, all of that is super important. Do you want to dig into the four keys, man, or you want to talk
Yeah.
about
Well,
like how do you handle a bad week or a bad month where maybe you're not getting the result that you want, but you're choosing to show up daily? I mean, before we hit record, you were talking about this week being a little bit rough.
yeah.
How, how do you bounce back, man?
So great question. And, I want to make sure that I'm being transparent with it. Like, I am not perfect by any means. I'd love to be, strive for perfection, settle for excellence. Um, the gym, I feel like we keep talking about the gym, but that's a big like staple in my life. And it's so funny. I can get a bad night of sleep, go to the gym, and I'll have more energy that day than if I just slept in and didn't go to the gym. So me personally, I was super dialed coming into the week. Monday is my favorite day of the week. I was up at 5:30, got a leg workout in. That's my least favorite body part to hit. And so Monday was a really great day, and I wrote a good amount of business that day. And then I can't remember what it was. Tuesday I didn't go. Wednesday I didn't go. Thursday I didn't go. And yesterday, I mean, it was a busy week, and I didn't stick to my schedule. I allowed this business is like a gas. It'll fill the available time that you give it. So you got to stick to your schedule. I was working until like midnight on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And last night I was like, all right, enough of this. And so I was up and at the gym. I didn't get a good night's sleep last night, but I went anyway, and I feel great. I feel so great. And like you said, stacking those wins, it still shook out to be a decent week of APV, which is, thank you.
Yeah.
But remembering that you're in control of all of this, right? Like, I didn't want to get out of bed this morning. It was 6 a.m. My alarm went off, and I was like, it would be great to just stay here in the warm. It's in the 20s, which is, I'm sure people up north are laughing, but like for me, that's real cold. And then the other thing is just, I like to remove those decisions that in a positive way affect my life. So like, I'm on an SLO, whether I have sold or haven't sold the previous week, I am going to get 30 new digital leads starting Saturday at midnight. It's going to happen. I'm going to get charged for it, and they're going to come in. And so removing that decision really helps. If I'm looking back on a longer time frame, like let's say a month or 6 weeks, and I didn't get the results that I wanted, look inward first. Did I make enough dials? Was I reaching out to people enough? Because Lord knows the leads aren't the problem. Now, if I did put in the activity and I did run the appointments, the next thing is, okay, am I just paying the numbers, right? Am I doing anything differently than I had been doing and it's not working? If I'm just paying the numbers, awesome. That means that things are going to come back around to go my way very quickly here. Having that long-term view. If I've been paying the numbers for 6 weeks, I've been doing the right activity, and I'm still not seeing the results, that's when it's time to be like, okay, what needs to improve here? Am I not as confident when I get into appointments? Am I missing something key? Do I need to just train a little bit better? Like, I don't know. I did like Jeremy Miner's NEPQ. I can't tell you how helpful that's been for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like just look at yourself, and instead of looking at other things to blame, oh, I got, sick and unhealthy clients. Well, that happens to everybody, and we got carriers to help them. So quit complaining about it. I got a bunch of objections. Well, maybe you sounded like a telemarketer. Like, look inward first before you start blaming anything else.
Yeah. I think blaming other things is the easy cop out because it doesn't require you to change what you're doing.
Exactly.
And change is uncomfortable. It's hard. People get into a pattern of doing things and they don't want to make pivots. I think somebody told me this, but like not many problems can't be fixed in this business by one or two $15,000 or $20,000 weeks. And I cling to that, man, because there's times when I feel like I'm doing enough, Xander, but the numbers aren't paying me what I thought. I should have gotten. I bought $1,000 worth of leads. I didn't sell 10 grand, or I booked 15 or 20 appointments, but only 9 or 10 showed up. And people will look at that result and then they get emotionally attached to what they didn't get. And then that is the thing that keeps them from sticking to the process. The next day they hit snooze, or they skip the gym, or they don't buy leads because they felt like they should have gotten a result on the last batch. And we talked about this, I think, with Jake. No business judges how they're doing off of a week or a month or a couple of days. They look at it quarterly and annually. And even if I'm having a shitty day, I look at what I did last year, and it's proof that the process works. I look at what I did last month, sold over 30 grand. Proof the process works. The leads work. The script works. The products are great. And sticking to it, that's the hard part, man, because it can be draining. You know, being self-employed is a grind. It's a grind. How do you recharge? Do you recharge daily? Do you have daily recharge routines? Weekly? In a full focus planner, it has a section on the weekly preview of how your habits are going, and your, I don't want to call it self-care, but how are you taking care of yourself? I know the gym is a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. Spending time with the people I care about. You know, I'm so blessed to have a loving girlfriend who is very supportive. You know, from the outside looking in, we're all nuts, right? Like, you know, we invest in every week on leads. I invest more than most people probably spend on their mortgage in a month. Like, that's, to someone who isn't around that, that's absolutely bananas. Why would you be doing that? Well, I want to write 50, 100 grand in a month. I'm not going to do that dialing, you know, you don't want more than 100 leads because no way to work them adequately. I'm not going to do that dialing 50-cent leads. Like, that's like trying to ride a motorcycle with training wheels on it. Good luck. But she's just so supportive. She's always like, you know, anything that you do, I know that you do it 100% and like, you're going to be successful. So like, if you think this is how you're going to do it, I'm all on board. And like, having supportive people around you is so helpful when you have a bad day, when you have a bad week, when you have a bad month, and they're like, what's special about that other person that they can do this that you can't? Like, there isn't anything, Xander. You can do this. So that's a huge one, is having like a good support system. And I'm so grateful for her. She's also in sales. It's 9 to 5, but like, she is also in sales. And so that certainly helps. Grounding sounds so silly, but like, just putting your feet in the grass, feeling some vitamin D on your face is like, the world is good. We talk about it. Appreciate the little things. Like, okay, you had a bad week in your business, but guess what? You still got your health. Like, there's people who, you know, they can't get out of bed, right? Who are you to be all upset because you had a bad week, but look, you got your health, you got family, friends around, like, whatever it is, find those things you can be grateful for. Focus on that. Focus on the good, because then you'll find more of that in your life. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I resonate with all of that. Having a supportive people around you when you're going through something, or you're having a bad day or a bad week, it could be the difference maker. You know, like, if my wife gives me a couple words of affirmation, I'm good, man. I need somebody to tell me I'm doing a good job, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think going on a walk and getting some sunlight, that's a game changer, man, especially when you're working from home and you can get a little stir crazy. We're not going to the office as much. Getting outside, taking a break from this, because also when you work from home, it can feel like you're always working, and making sure that you have some good boundaries and separation has been huge for me. I think scheduling downtime, scheduling weekly date nights, that can be kind of hard to stick to sometimes, but having it on the calendar is so important. I think your diet is huge, getting movement in your day, drinking enough water, kicking stuff like alcohol and smoking if you're trying to really dial in your diet and how you feel, getting good sleep. All of those are like just little things that you can do that
you're in control of.
Big difference, and you're completely in control of. All of it.
One thing, just to put the cherry on top with all that, and then I want to hear what you're going to say next. Anybody who is an agent, particularly if you're a new agent, I watched a YouTube series by Cody Askins, and for whatever reason, it hasn't gotten as much love as I think it deserves. It's called The Ultimate Agent, and he brings
Dude, I
5 people. It quite literally, between that and the Cook conference that we had in Orlando last year, that was when I said, I'm not doing the 9 to 5 anymore. If these people can do it, I can do it too.
Yep.
Watch that. That is the best point of view piece of content that I have seen for anybody in the industry. And Cody recommends, he's like way beyond producing at this point. He's got his own lead system. He's running 8% Nation, all of that. When an agent was having a bad day, he'd be like, go up and go take a walk, clear your head. And like this stuff that we're saying, none of this is revolutionary. And we didn't come up with it, right? Other people came up with it first, but like, seriously, go take a walk, but cannot recommend that series enough to anybody who's like, is it really that simple? Are these guys just pulling my leg? We're not. And you can go see evidence of that yourself. Multiple different people with multiple backgrounds. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did want to plug that.
I'm glad you did. I loved the Ultimate Agent, and a couple of the people who were on there were Symmetry agents. The lady who won used to be a Symmetry agent before she started doing her own thing. But yeah, I think it helps just show like what is the day in the life actually look like, and it's not that glamorous, y'all. But I'll tell you what, it's pretty freaking cool to go get some leads, sit in your chair at home while I'm drinking iced coffee, and I can make a few phone calls and help people solve a problem that they have, and I'm going to get paid tens of thousands of dollars a month to do that. Where can you go, man?
Nowhere.
Where can you go? One way I recharge, bro, is I like going on some pretty swanky vacations. I like staying at nice places and being able to take time off. And it takes some planning for sure, because when you're on vacation for a week or so, I don't want to be working while I'm doing that. But being able to go take the wife, we're going to Portugal this year. We went to Switzerland last year. We've gone to Cabo. We've gone to Hawaii. Taking time away from the day-to-day, I think, is so beneficial, but you can also go to the other extreme and take too much time off, and then you really shoot yourself in the foot.
Yes, and we touched on that with Ashley, but I really want to make sure that, just given the number of new agents who have been reaching out to us, what you said right there is so crucial, right? Like, let's say you're a newer agent, you're in your first 90 days, 6 months, you just hit your first 10K week. Like, number one, I'm going to give you a round of applause if no one else is. Don't stop. That you have not arrived. You have not earned the ability to just take a month off yet, because then coming full circle, you're going to be in the valley of despair. You're going to have no momentum. And so stack a couple of those weeks and know that when you do come back, you're going to have to build up that momentum again. But like, do not take those, or in my opinion, it's your own business. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I wouldn't advise, if you have a big week, taking the rest of the month off. I think that is one of the biggest things that I see agents do. It's like, I'm so excited for them, and then they make their life so darn hard because they think they've arrived. And like, if you can just stack a couple more of those weeks, get in that positive flow state, really pad the bank account, it'll be a little easier when you come back and you invest in leads and you don't sell anything that first week back.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's gold right there, man. I mean, I made that mistake. I
have too.
I used to make $1,100 a month, Xander, before this. And that was my first real job. Now, granted, I was still in school, so it's not like a real income that people are making working full time. But you quite literally, here in the insurance industry, because of our license that costs us all of $200 to go get, there's people that I know making in a week what most people make in a month. I know some people making in a month what a lot of people make in a year. Way more than. I mean, and you don't have, they're not working 100 hours a week, y'all.
Yeah.
They're just duplicating themselves, leveraging systems and processes, and they're treating this like a job. A lot of people get in, they enjoy the freedom, they take full advantage, they take too much time off, they don't invest enough in leads, they make a couple grand, spend all of it, And that could be the one thing that causes you to lose momentum and have a bad week.
Yeah. And you saying that there's so many gurus and like just advertising online of these
Yeah.
super flashy businesses, drop shipping, start a clothing brand, whatever. Look, there are a mountain of cons to every business. No business is without its cons, right? If you're in retail, you got to be running 60% profit margins. You're going to have to hold merchandise to scale. You got to invest a boatload of money. People are going to return stuff. Like there's all these issues with all these Forex. People are just getting in crypto. People are just getting rich, selling courses, doing rug pulls. The whole idea behind the name of this show, Insurance Isn't Boring, is it's a little bit tongue in cheek because like at the end of the day, insurance is not the most glamorous, right? Like it's, we protect people in, a time that they need protection for. And it's very simple. You make phone calls, you facilitate a transaction. The part that isn't boring is when you show up at the bank and, you're making in a month what other people make in a year, right? That's the fun part. That's the part that isn't boring. As far as the actual business, you want it to not have too many moving pieces because that is just, for starters, simplicity scales. And it's the boring businesses, boring in quotes, that get people the richest. Like I saw an interview with a guy, he makes a single part that goes in refrigerators and he is a billionaire. That's not the most glamorous business either. But guess what? Everyone needs a fridge. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs life insurance. Sell things that everybody needs. And it's probably not going to be the whole, hey, I'm kicking back on a beach. My storefront did 50 grand in sales today. Like it's easy to forge numbers online these days, but it's generally the things that people kind of overlook. I had a cleaning company. All these boring things become a lot less boring when you start making a lot of money doing them.
Yep. And the lifestyle that this industry offers is what, in my opinion, is like the most appealing thing. You can control your income. You can control your schedule. You can control who you work with. How cool is that? I mean,
dude, don't get me started on that.
How many people listening to this have ever worked with somebody who sucked to work with or work for? And you can work from home if you want to. You can go get an office if you want to. You can go get leads on the West Coast and control what time zone you're working in. You can control what products you sell, what carriers you represent. There's so much that we have control over. And I think if you get shiny object syndrome or you allow yourself to fall into a rut and you lose your stepping, if you will, on the process, that's the most common mistake I see people make. And every time a new agent's calling me about the latest thing that's going wrong, the root issue is they lost discipline or lost momentum in some shape or form in their process. And so sticking to that's huge. The last thing I'll say, man, that really helps recharge me is going to events, bro. Every single time I go to a conference that our company hosts or a training event where I'm getting around people and I'm getting to associate and network with people who are absolutely kicking ass at this and being able to rub elbows with them, break bread with them, ask them questions, get encouragement from them, hear what types of problems they're navigating at their level. All of that helps just kind of not only pave the way, but give me kind of insight into, okay, what do the next couple years have in store if I stay the course? And so we got an event coming up, not next week, but the week after, in Knoxville, Tennessee. Xander and I are going to be teaching about digital leads. There's a few different breakout sessions on sales, recruiting, leadership, all of it, advanced market sales. And if you're a new agent and your company doesn't host events, I would find a company that does and then get your butt there. I would not still be here had I not gone to my first conference ever in Washington, D.C. in 2018. Completely changed the trajectory of my insurance career so far. So
same. And let's pretend let's pretend for a moment that you weren't going to get 6 months worth of training in 3 days. Let's pretend you weren't going to get all of that. I cannot tell you how excited I am to go just hang out with the people who are in our organization, right? They're from all different backgrounds, different ages, and they all think about things slightly differently. But I am so, I'll put it this way. I do a golf trip with my college buddies every single year. I am just as excited for our upcoming conference, if not more excited, to get around the people as I am to see my best friends from college. Like, those are the kind of people who stick at symmetry. They lead with service. They're constantly working on themselves. They want to build a big business, and they're happy to share the keys to the castle of exactly how they did that. And like, if you can't be happy in an environment like that, go read the Energy Bus, because you're missing the boat. So I think that's honestly a great place to wrap it. Like, there's a lot of people who are following us on the different social media places, Spotify, Apple, whatever. If you're listening to this, come to Knoxville. You don't think what we're saying is true? Come prove it wrong. That's what I did. I was like, I don't believe that this is actually as great as it sounds. And then I showed up and I found out, nope, this is exactly the bill of goods that they were selling me. And it not only does it exist, it's even better than I thought it was. We'd love to meet you. We'll help coach you in person. We were talking back and forth, like my favorite thing now coming into these conferences a little bit later is I get to see other people catch that spark. And if I can be that spark for someone, dude, that is what it's all about. It's like seeing other people win.
That's why we host these events, bro, is to help people win. So how can people find out about it? Should they just DM us or what?
DM us. I think there's a website. Just DM us and we can get you hooked up. There's a couple discounted tickets left. If you don't get a discounted ticket, it's not going to cost you $1,000 to get in the door. It's like, I don't know, $200. And again, if you're looking to make a change in your life and invest in yourself and you're serious about it, there's no better. Big decisions are made at big events. There's nothing better than getting around the fire to really get you started.
Yep. Get there, invest in yourself. That's really what it is at the end of the day. You can't expect to start a new career in a new industry with no experience and make six figures without training. It don't happen. You might make 40 or 50 grand and get lucky, but if you really want to scale, you got to get around people who are winning. Get out there, go manufacture some momentum, focus on what you can control. Let's kick some ass and have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next Friday.
Heck yeah. Leave us some comments. We always read them.
Peace.